نأتي بكتب السلف، نأتي بالقرآن، نأتي بالسنة، نأتي بكتب البخاري ومسلم وأبو داود والترمذي والنسائي وما ألفه أحمد وما ألف غيره، نأتي بها. ومن هو على طريق هؤلاء ومن ينابذهم ويخالفهم؟
The easiest response to that is when they say that, if they bring the argument in that form there, they say, look, the Prophet ﷺ said something, you guys always just take the literal meaning as it is. Firstly, that isn't actually correct. We take the meaning that is to be understood exactly on that narration. So now in this hadith, for example, or in this ayah, that they will have addition in the hereafter. What meaning do we take for that? The meaning that the Prophet ﷺ explained to us. So we take the meanings that are explained to us in the Quran and the Sunnah. The Quran itself, how do you get the tafsir of the Quran? By looking at other ayat in the Quran, or by looking at the Sunnah as we've seen. So yes, literal in terms of you don't make your own interpretations. If they say now, you people always just take the literal meaning and there could be multiple meanings to it, and therefore we look into these multiple meanings and get the correct understanding, the easiest debate or the easiest response to them is, who is going to determine therefore what the actual interpretation is? The scholars, they mention this in the books of Aqidah. Now a person comes along and says this ayah, ziyada, there's an addition for the people in the hereafter. If I say now, I'm going to stick to the actual meaning as it is there, that the ziyada, it is an addition, an extra, which means the seeing of Allah on the Day of Judgment because of this hadith. All these other people come along, they say, no, that's being very strict and stringent to what the narration says. Maybe it meant that you will have dreams in paradise where you see Allah, and things like that. They give you other interpretations like this. They say these are all feasible interpretations. The easiest response is, where and upon what are you establishing that interpretation upon? If you're going to say to me that interpretation or this interpretation based upon what? Where and how have you come about with this interpretation? It's like with the names and attributes we said before. With the names and attributes of Allah, either you've seen Allah yourself, that is not the case. Somebody else has seen Allah, tells you, that is not the case. Or it's in the manual, the Quran. The example then, if you have a phone, you don't see it, nobody else has seen it, you look in the manual tells you the phone is silver. What possibility of interpretation is there for you now? For you to say, well, I think the phone is black, I think it's grey, I think it's blue. How are you going to make that interpretation when the Quran is literally telling you it's this or it's that? The other problem is as well, when you start looking at these various interpretations, they say you people are literalists and there are many other interpretations. Then one of the problems is that there will be multiple interpretations. Now, if we were all to get an ayah of the Quran or a hadith and I say to everybody, go around, what do you understand from this hadith? You'll get 10 different understandings. This person will say he understands such and such. He'll say, no, but I thought it meant this and that. Another one, no, I thought it meant this and that. You'll have 10 different explanations. So which one is correct then? This is why ul-Sunnah, they say ul-Bidʿah, they are people of differing and splitting. Because when they start to go outside of the texts and put their own interpretations on, then whose interpretation are you supposed to take? They've got multiple options then. This one saying one thing, that one another interpretation, that one another interpretation. So when they come and they say to you people are literalists, there are other interpretations, say to them, okay, what are these other interpretations? They give you another 10. So which one are we supposed to take then? Which one of these 10 interpretations is the correct one then? And there's no response. They'll say, no, it's this one because of this and because of that. You say to them, the Quran and the Sunnah is there and we practice it and we implement it as it is. We don't put our own understandings onto it. That's why we say Quran and Sunnah and understanding of the Salaf of this Ummah. You say to them, literalist, if you mean by that we stick to it exactly as the Salaf they understood it and we take it that way, then yes. Because that is the only way to understand it. Because you have two options. Either understand the Quran and the Sunnah with the understanding of the Salaf and be called literalist in that way, so be it. Or understand the Quran and the Sunnah upon your other multiple interpretations, all of them wrong because none of them are the interpretation of the Salaf. It's one or the other. Either the interpretation of the Salaf upon it or your other multiple interpretations, which all by default have to be wrong because they are in opposition to what the Salaf said. So these types of arguments, they're not very strong. They're not very detailed and they're not very strong for them to say literalists.